Well, there were question marks about their form, about their adaptability to play this format. Geez, they've answered all those questions resoundingly today. Australia, the winners, the champions of the T20 World Cup 2021. Needed 173 today to overcome New Zealand in the final and got there with 8 wickets to spare, with 7 deliveries still in hand, getting it done rather comfortably in the end. The star for them, Mitchell Marsh. If Kane Williamson played a fantastic innings for New Zealand, it was matched absolutely stroke for stroke by Mitchell Marsh. 77 not out. Of 50 and a half century for David Warner as well, and just sealing the win there for Australia. Champions, their first trophy in the T20 format. They've got plenty in the 50 over format, and there was a lot of questions about them in the T20 format today. Well, as Aaron Finch wraps his hands around that trophy, he'll say, well, I answered you, and you. I'm Gaurav Kapur. This is Cricbuzz Live. I have with me Dinesh Karthik and Zaheer Khan. DK, your impressions on Australia's win?
Outstanding. You know, you got to remember that they played a very, very poor game against England, and after that, their backs were to the wall, and they had to win every game they played after that, and they played like champions. They had pressure on them, but the way they've responded to critics, a lot of players actually. David Warner struggling for form, but the way he's batted throughout this tournament, you know, outstanding. Adam Zampa, brilliant. Patrick Cummins, you know, I think the last 5 overs he's bowled, the last over against Pakistan, and this 4 overs that he's bowled today are his 5 best overs in this tournament. People standing up at the right time. Another unsung hero in many ways. It was Daryl Mitchell in the semi-finals for New Zealand. Mitchell Marsh this time for Australia. Outstanding effort. You know, we never seem to speak about him, but he's been very effective this tournament. And, you know, as people say, he's been plagued with injuries, but you know, when he does bat, he can pack a punch, and also shows 2 distinct ways to play this game. Kane Williamson in the first inning, touch player, finding gaps, using his wrists. Mitchell Marsh, brute power, anything up there and anything short. He put it from Dubai all the way probably to Abu Dhabi, a couple of balls, batted brilliantly, I thought.
Yeah, big guy. Welcomed a few people to the bowling crease with the 6 first up. But Zach, your impressions on Australia being champions and the way they played in the final?
Well, the simple word is intent. I think, you know, the intent was there in the semi-finals also when they were batting second. You know, looked like it will get tricky. Dent, you know, just went with the nice positive intent and aggression through and through. And today's day also, halfway through the innings, we were actually expecting that kind of a thing. You know, pressure of the finals, how they're going to approach it. But the intent was superb, the aggression was superb, and we were talking about, you know, one player actually playing an innings like Kane Williamson. Here there were 2. So it didn't look like at any stage they were behind the game. They were just played like champions and won the finals convincingly.
Well, we'll tell you one thing. Doesn't matter how the pitch plays, but we know that the Mitch plays always, right? And that's what Mitchell Marsh has been for Australia. He was in this game. He's been all of 20. He's had a dream run in 2021. And now when you look at it, Mitchell Marsh coming to play at 3 has been one of the key reasons for Australia being world champions here, DK.
Absolutely. I think, you know, you got to give some credit. I think Justin Langer has been under the pump a little bit with all the issues happening back home in Australia. This is coaching style, the way he does things. But I don't know if it was Justin Langer. I don't know if it was Aaron Finch. I'm not part of the dressing room. But whoever thought of Mitchell Marsh at 3, I think a brilliant decision. I think, you know, you got to understand that Australia, in the last couple of months preceding the World Cup, have lost both their series. One to West Indies, where they got pummeled 4-1, and to Bangladesh, in Bangladesh, where they got smashed again. And to come and win this World Cup. And the beauty is their highest run getter this year has been Mitchell Marsh, who scored 600 runs upwards, and he started batting at number 3 in both these series, and he's shown why he's so good. I think credit to Big Bash as well, because that's where he plays for Perth Scorchers, did well there. From there on, converting his form, coming here to and representing Australia in the yellows, and showing why he's so good batting at number 3. I think it's the intent that he showed. I think Zach is bang on. The intent that he showed. First ball off his hips, hitting it outside the ground, and then the next couple to follow. Proper intent there. We always talk about the fact that he's a very good player of fast bowling, maybe not so good against spin, but in this wicket, I think he put Ish Sodhi and Santner under the pump there. Some of his shots were, as I said before, brute power. You know, you don't want to be the fielder standing close in when he's hitting a shot.
The partnership with David Warner, because Finch went early. Finch went in the 3rd over. Then they got a 92-run partnership in about 10 overs. There you go, just a shade under. This partnership, I mean, this kind of partnership chasing 170 odd, Zach, is not going to end up on the losing side.
Pretty much talking about 9.2 runs per over. That's the tempo you look at, like just before you start to launch at the back end of the innings. So if you have that kind of aggression at the beginning of the innings, you can imagine how simple it got for Australia from there on in. Just two batters taking the game away. New Zealand was not in the contest at all. I think that's something which credit goes to both the batters and the intent which Australian team just kind of showed in the tournament and how they build it. I think they didn't start the tournament with this kind of a belief, but they were very determined to do well in the tournament, and it just sort of got better and better as they went along. And we often speak about momentum in the tournament. I think Australia was a classic example. How it built for them and how the England game was tough, but after that they got together, and how the semi-final they were behind the game, but still managed to pull the victory from that kind of a position. I think they have a lot of belief in that dressing room. A lot of calmness was seen as we were watching the game when it got close in the previous one and this one as well. So I think the dressing room atmosphere and the belief was very strong, and they really were determined to win this World Cup, and things went their way as they wanted it to be.
I don't know today if Kane Williamson can say intent we trust, but in Trent we trust is true always for Kiwis, and it worked today as well, because Trent Bolt really, he was just, that was the inspiration, right? But today he just didn't have anyone else with him, DK, because Ish Sodhi they went after. But look at Trent Bolt again. Trent Bolt here, it seems like he's bowled in a different game on a different surface to different batters, because he's bowled his 4 overs for 18 with just 2 wickets. His first 3 especially, I think the 4th one was slightly expensive, but the first 3 were just absolutely amazing. But Saudi on the other side, Ish Sodhi, that was the key, right, DK? Once Ish Sodhi went for 40 of his 3, Kane Williamson sort of, that was one of his trump cards that was negated by Australia.
Yes, it's interesting that, for both teams, there are 2 trump cards, so to say. For Australia, it was Mitchell Starc, who's bowled brilliantly along with Zampa. He got taken down today. And in New Zealand's case, obviously, Trent Bolt and Ish Sodhi have been the best bowlers, and Ish Sodhi was taken down today. You could see the last over he bowled, the amount of pressure he was in. He had to bowl a 9-ball over to finish it. So he was under the pump a little bit in that over. Also goes to show big games, big players stand up. Trent Bolt for me is a standout player. He's won a couple of titles with Mumbai Indians as well. In the finals, he was the man of the match. Just the tone he sets up front with his ability to bowl full and looks to get wickets, and his skill is obviously second to none. He's improved his death bowling tremendously over a period of time, and he's a champion player, a champion team man to have. And I only have good things to say about him. Again, in this game, you could see he was so upset with himself towards the end when he couldn't get that cotton bowled of Mitchell Marsh, which kind of shows his character. But it's such a tough catch. It literally had half a second time coming towards him at a bullet speed. For him to drop that, he shouldn't have been too upset, but shows his attitude and shows why he's one of the best in the world.
Yeah, Trent Bolt has a strange relationship with catches in finals, so let's not go there. But he's fantastic today with the ball. He really was, especially his first spell up front. Bolt's just one of those special bowlers. Somebody, Zach, who you know really well.
Absolutely, no, he's someone who really likes the big matches. You can see, and if someone like Trent sets the tone with the new ball, gets that first breakthrough early, he's definitely a different bowler, very tough bowler to face. But I think he was the lone ranger today from New Zealand side, isn't it? Like no one really backed him in that bowling unit, apart from maybe Santner to a certain degree. He created that kind of pressure. But I think once the middle overs were out of the game for New Zealand, and once Australia put that kind of pressure in the middle overs on New Zealand bowlers, they didn't really have a chance to come back in the game.
Well, David Warner as well, fantastic in the previous game. Fantastic in this World Cup. And a lot of people were saying, well, he didn't show that kind of form in the IPL. Wait, he was on the bench in the IPL. You can't score runs from the dugout. We don't know whether he was in form or not, because they sat him out for most of it. But look at him here in this tournament. 7 innings, 289. So he's ended up as second on the charts, on the run getters. An average of almost 50, the strike rate of almost 150. he was just absolutely spectacular, DK. It just goes to show, right? The old adage that form is temporary, class is permanent.
100%. I was just going to use that for him. It's good that you used it before.
I'll cancel mine. I'll cancel it. I'll cancel. Just go
No,
back and delete it. Just go back. Go.
it really is true, though. Form is temporary and class is permanent when it comes to David Warner. And I say that because we got to understand that, if this tournament Australia has won, for the batting has to be David Warner, nobody else, because the pressure he absorbs up front, not losing his wicket. He plays in the power play, so he has to take risks. But the way he does it is so clever, and that's why he's been so consistent. Not only this game, the West Indies game, the game before that. Let's not forget the first game. They had a scratchy start against South Africa. They just barely managed to pip the post for 130 runs, 130. But today they've chased down 172 comfortably, and that is only because of David Warner. His ability to bat at the front and play the kind of shots he plays. He tries to, impose himself in the middle overs when spinners come on. Just brilliant batting. The way he runs hard between wickets. He's an outstanding batter. Babar Azam 303 runs at number one, but David Warner 299 runs is worth its weight in gold. And if Australia have won that World Cup from the batting department, definitely David Warner is the man who's taken Australia to glory in this World Cup.
I don't know if the two of you remember, but during childhood there was this cartoon called He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Do both of you remember He-Man?
Yeah.
There was a DK is now going to pull that card saying I'm younger than the two of you, so I don't remember.
I was just going to say I'm a generation younger. I would like to think, but He-Man did exist.
Don't rub it in our faces now, okay? But there was a character in it called Battle Ram. So he was a battle ram. He was like this little stocky guy who would just plow into people. He was called the battle ram. David Warner always reminds me of battle ram. So I think for those of you who are as young as DK, little children, all of you, just please go and you can check it on YouTube, He-Man, and check Battle Ram. It is just David Warner, the guy who's just, that's it. He's a battle ram. It's pretty self-explanatory, that term. But Australia, what kind of tournament have they had? Just to remind you, of course, this was the final with New Zealand. We've discussed it, we're discussing it. But what happened in the lead up to it? Have a quick look at this.
For the first time, Australia are entering a white ball tournament and nobody's talking about it. If you had to write your own script, what would you do? They wouldn't have written this. It was that good for Australia.
When you get that kind of pummeling today against the favourites, that's going to take a lot of confidence out of that Australian side.
They've been wanting to prove this point, isn't it? Australia has looked like they've been picking momentum in the last couple of games. The value of this partnership is high because that was their last hope.
Yep, the champions, the winners of the men's T20 World Cup. That's what they've done today, Australia. I've got to tell you, though, something very interesting that Mitchell Starc has said. And this will kind of tell you the approaches of both the teams as well playing today. How the key bowler for Australia, according to Mitchell Starc, he says the different guys in different games, is the closeness with the guys has taken us through. Says Zampa has been the best bowler by far in white ball over the last 2 years. Big call. We know how to bowl around him. The bowling group just know our roles a lot clearer. This line, Zach, just this one line that he's saying, we have all learned to bowl around him. So 2 lines there. One is best bowler in white ball over the last 2 years. Big call that. And second is, that they're all bowling around him. So your reaction on both those statements?
Well, it's that statement is basically talking about how they look at stacking up the overs and how the middle overs are vital and how Zampa has been consistently picking wickets. And then that really aids to then Mitchell Starc coming in the middle overs and knowing his role to be a attacking bowler and can go after the batters there. And if that happens, then the momentum shift, which we're talking about. It's not often you're going to see that Mitchell Starc is going for that kind of runs, what we saw today. So that is basically just understanding of each other's roles and knowing exactly what helps you get to that situation. I think in that bowling lineup, when you look at it, Josh Hazlewood also plays a very key role because he sets that tone with the new ball. So yes, Zampa in the middle overs, but Josh Hazelwood with the new ball bowling those 3 overs. If he's going for runs, then as a captain, you have no choice but to bring back Mitchell Stark, which derails your plan of using Mitchell Stark in the middle overs as attacking bowler. So I think understanding of those roles is what I'm trying to gauge from what is made the statement about. But overall, if you look at the bowling lineup of Australia and the styles of bowlers they've used, I think that has been complementing each other for sure. Like you look at someone like Pat Cummins as well, who generally looks to bowl back of the length and then uses his slow ones to good effect, and has bowled crucial overs in crucial situations of the games consistently.
DK, it just shows today's approaches, right? Because for New Zealand, Ish Sodhi has been the weapon, right? For Australia, Adam Zampa has been the weapon. Today, New Zealand decided to kind of play cautiously against Zampa, and Australia decided to take Sodhi apart.
I mean, that's one way to look at it, but I do think if it is Adam Zampa for Australia, I think it is Trent Boult for New Zealand. And Trent Boult was played cautiously. There is no doubt about it. I
Fair
think
point.
it's the rest of the bowlers that they took down. And Sodhi, I don't think Sodhi is New Zealand's best bowler. I think Trent Boult is. So I believe that they played Trent Boult carefully, cautiously. You could see Warner didn't take any chances, but when Sodhi did come on, he did put pressure. I think he realizes that Sodhi is one of those bowlers. If you can put pressure on him, there's a chance that he could crack. In this game, unluckily he did, because the rest of the tournament he's been brilliant for them. Zampa, whereas they couldn't put pressure because he bowled slightly fuller, his ball was sticking a little on the wicket. But they definitely took on Mitchell Stark, and I don't think what Zampa is to New Zealand is what Sodhi is to. I mean, Zampa is to Australia is what Sodhi is to New Zealand.
Today, in fact, we had said, if you remember in the pre-show, we had said that Sodhi's been a weapon this tournament for New Zealand, and if anyone can blunt that weapon, it is David Warner. I tell you, sometimes you just watch a show and you don't even need to watch the game, right? We're just telling you what's going to happen. Like when Zaheer Khan tells you it's going to be 174 and they finish at 172, he knows. Look at it. Dinesh Karthik, 168. Zaheer Khan, what was it, 174, 175?
175.
Falls bang in the middle at 172. I'm telling you, just don't spend those 3.5 hours. Just spend time with us here. That's right. I'm done being cheeky now. But let's talk about, just before we round up the conversation on this final, really kudos and credit to Aaron Finch, to Justin Langer, their entire team. I kid you not, a few months ago, nobody would have had them as even their top 2 or 3 favorites. In fact, when you talk about the semi-finals, Zach, is it fair to say that when you had your 4 semi-finalists, England always considered favorites, Pakistan were on form, New Zealand, they're fantastic in ICC, Australia T20 cricket, we don't know. Is it fair to say that they were being considered 4th contenders out of the 4 that were in the semi-finals?
Yes, I think it was between Australia and South Africa. And their first game, if you remember, Australia playing against South Africa, it was a close fought game. And in that, you kind of felt that Australia was under pressure that time as well. They managed to secure that victory, but South Africa also looked good. And if you look at that group, that was a very closely fought semi-final spot there, where 3 teams finishing on 8 points. So Australia and South Africa were always neck and neck with that regard. But as the tournament moved along, you always felt that there is a chance that Australia might be able to give tough fight to a lot of the teams, and whichever team qualifies from the other group, because we knew Australia or South Africa was going to finish second, and Pakistan at the other in the other group was going to finish on top. So that was the semi-final, expected semi-finals. But I think Australia, as they moved to that phase, looked very, very threatening. In Pakistan game, how they turned the match around, was something very important, because till that point also you're thinking that maybe Pakistan has played better cricket and they will possibly go through. They had pretty much 70-75% of the time were on top of the game, had the game under control. So yeah, from that point of view, you can say, and Australia has not been playing the great cricket in this format for a while now. So all those things were adding up to thinking that maybe Australia will have some good games, or they will give fight to these teams which are expected to win but may not be able to secure that win. But it happened, and that's where the credit is due to the captain, the coach, and the whole team which was behind this, to keep this group together, to develop that belief, and carry forward that belief into winning the tournament.
DK, is it safe to say that this turnaround that they've done has perhaps been one of the most remarkable ones that you would have seen kind of pre-World Cup and then in a World Cup?
Yeah, I think, the 99 World Cup, they didn't come across as, sort of contenders, but they ended up winning it. But 2003, 2007, all of those tournaments, they were looked at as the team to beat, and they stayed that way. They went on to win the tournament. Even 2015, they were the team to beat because the home conditions, they played brilliantly, and obviously they went on to win the tournament. But this one, walking into this tournament, I don't think many people rated them to be worthy of a semi-final spot, because you got to understand what I really like about the fact that Australia won is they came from the group of death. And we had West Indies there, we had England there, we had South Africa there. They were all good teams here. And we always expect Sri Lanka and Bangladesh to do well in Asian conditions because they have some good spinners. So to come from that group, go on to win it comfortably against those teams, still find a way to reach the semis, had a tough game, and then come to the finals. And in many ways have a, not a one-sided one, but a very dominating performance, so to say. So, credit to Australia. I think Justin Langer, obviously, there are other people like Andrew McDonald, part of the support staff, Sridharan Sriram, who's a spin bowling coach. So some interesting names there. Aaron Finch obviously didn't have the best tournament of the bat, but I'm sure he's led the team very well. And behind the scenes, he must have done a fabulous job as well. So credit to all of those support staff and the team for having gone through some tumultuous times, and not only this World Cup, but in the in the build up to the World Cup as well. The tour of Bangladesh went badly, the tour of West Indies went poorly. So from there to find a way to get that strength to believe to do well is good on them.
Well, for Aaron Finch, good guy, definitely a good guy. Well, Kane Williamson, you can say the best of the best, really, one of the nicest guys around. But well, they say nice guys don't always finish last, but sometimes nice guys don't even finish first. So today they weren't. They were the runners-up. Yet again, another white ball World Cup that they are runners-up. That makes it 3 finals in a row, 15. 19. Oh, wait, there was a 16 in the middle. But anyway, so there's a 15, a 19, and a 21. And they've just won 1 final. They decided to win it against India. I see you, New Zealand. I see you. I see you. Well, congratulations to Australia. Then, before we round up this discussion, I want to ask you guys your favorites from this tournament. Not favorites to win it, because it's already over. I mean, your favorite performances, your favorite players. So what do we start with? Your favorite bowler from this? What do we start with? Favorite bowler? Yeah? Favorite bowler? Favorite bowler, favorite bowling performance, all round, one game, anyone you want to pick, anything.
Favorite bowler, obviously from, I'm not picking from the finals, but I think Wanendo Hasaranga is one name, which is coming to my mind, who's had a great impact on the tournament. He's been very consistent, and even though their team has not gone to the next round, I think he was what, highest wicket taker of the tournament. So he was very consistent. It was needed. So from Sri Lanka's point of view and reviving their cricket from that point of view, they showed intent and are largely dependent on, in batting Sri Lanka, but in bowling for sure, it was Wanendo Hasaranga.
DK, your favorite batter?
My favorite batter, I would say David Warner. I think the way he's embraced pressure coming off, I think he's had a tough 6 months. The first half of IPL didn't go exactly according to plan. Again, not the second half as well, but then just holding on. The amount of hard work he's put in these 6 months and the build up to this World Cup has been phenomenal. And, I think I'm really happy to see him do so well. He deserves it. He's somebody who's worked really hard on his cricket. And, in many ways, a leader for this Australian batting unit. And he's done fabulously well. And I think he's been the batter in this tournament without a doubt for me.
Player to look out for in the future from this, if you just see all the young and kind of inexperienced players, maybe somebody from the associate nations, any player that kind of you feel could be a player to watch out for in the future?
I think one mention has to be there, GK, Mohammad Rizwan. Before the semis also, he was admitted in the hospital. There was question marks whether he's going to be playing or not, and the kind of innings which he played, playing that game was remarkable. That just shows the kind of determination, the passion, and the drive he had to be out there and play that game. So I think that one effort was definitely the highlight of the tournament as well.
For you, DK?
For me, two players stand out, and I think both those players are very, very important for their cricket to grow. One is Charit Asalanka from Sri Lanka. I think a lot will depend on how he moves forward with his career, because Sri Lankan cricket will be heavily dependent on him in the next decade. And another bowler, I think, who stood out for me brilliantly, playing his first World Cup, first T20 World Cup, maybe his first World Cup, and he's done phenomenally well, is Andrik Nokia. I think he's somebody who's taken South African bowling to another level, and if they're competing well today and they're doing well, I think he's just, become on par with Rabada, which is a lot, because Rabada is a world champion bowler, and for him to, get performances better than him consistently over a period of time, from last year IPL, this IPL, and now the World Cup, just goes to show that if he keeps doing well, I think he's a very, very solid bowler to have.
Well, I've got to say that, in another 3 days, New Zealand comes to India. And after losing this final, them playing a 3-match series here of T20 cricket makes as much sense as it would for me to be playing the next World Cup for Namibia. They're coming here to play a 3-match T20 series. How motivated, Zach, do you think they're going to be? It just feels... It rings a little absurd, doesn't it?
Well, if you had won the tournament and being champions right now and being asked to play in 3 days' time, that's the worst thing possible for anyone, because you still want to soak in the moment. You want to enjoy what you've done in that tournament. But if you've lost the finals, it's not a bad thing to just get into the next one, because it just kind of helps you move on, and then you just kind of, rather than staying in that zone of not having done that. Because see, playing a final itself, like I told you before the start of the match, it's a hell of an achievement. It is not easy to just get to this stage, and then you can get knocked out anytime. You have a lot has to go your way. So yeah, it's a disappointing day that you're not able to come on top. But for anyone to move on from here, it's to reach the next destination. So I think it's not a bad thing that in 3 days' time they will be playing against India, and you can just move on with your next destination.
DK, I feel like if New Zealand had won, they could have had their open bus tour in India. They would have probably had more fans out here than the entire population of New Zealand.
I mean, they would have had more people in the bus than the whole of New Zealand, for all you know. But yeah, as Zach says, I think it will be a bit hard mentally. If they had won the tournament with a different kind of, they like to enjoy, they like to obviously chill, enjoy, party, whatever, for the next probably week, 10 days. They had a good time after the World Test Championship final. And it's been the most successful tournament. I mean, successful year for them. 2 finals, one they won, one they've lost. I think it's been a fabulous year for them. And, knowing New Zealand, obviously, they'll take this bilateral seriously, knowing that, there's a World Cup around the corner in a year's time. And obviously, they'll do everything they can to put up a good show again in India.
Yeah, I can't believe it. It's literally been 7 minutes since the last ball was bowled. We're already talking about the next World Cup. You know why? Because it's in 12 months. That's right. It's that soon. We're barely going to sneeze and take a nap, and it's going to be the next World Cup again. Zach, they don't have one for 5 years, and then they have 2 in 12 months. It's just, I'm telling you, the world's not absurd enough for me anymore. I'm used to anything now. It's just anything is happening.
And there is a 50 over World Cup right after that.
Yeah. It's
2020.
amazing.
Yeah, so it's like 3 years, 3 World Cups. So for any player or any team, this is possibly the best chance, right? Like, you get on a winning roll, and then you can achieve a lot, right? Like, back-to-back World Cup. Australia should be thinking about back-to-back World Cup. The teams who didn't have a great World Cup here, they have their work cut out right now in terms of planning. What are the things which they should be doing, and so on and so forth. So yeah, from that point of view, it's a great thing, for any team, for cricketers right now. Otherwise, you don't know once you play the last World Cup whether you're going to be part of the next World Cup or not. So, so at least that you can sustain your performances and your form to be part of the next one and then the next one.
The Indian team has made a few notable omissions, haven't they, DK?
Yeah, I mean, omissions is a strong word. I think a few of them have taken
No,
rest.
sorry. Rested. Notable rest applications.
And rightly so. They've been on the road for far too long now. The Mohammad Shamis, the
Yeah.
Bumrahs, the Virat Kohlis. I think it's good to see that they're all taking a break, and a very young lot has come in. Some interesting names there. Very talent is of abundance in India. I think, as I said, Rahul Dravid is going to be spoiled for talent. It's only how they, group together and do it. And to be very honest, I wish I was part of that team at some point of time. I have one more year to try my luck, and I'll try everything. I'd rather be playing than be sitting and discussing the cricket with you. So it's going to be a very
Hey,
interesting 1 year.
come on, brother. Don't. It's,
No, it's
we
fun,
also
but
rather we also you rather be playing, but now when you say it like that, it breaks our heart.
no, I'm just saying that I'd
We're
rather be
fragile.
playing and
We'd
get
also like to.
I get abused by all on Cricbuzz live than be me doing it.
No. If we want to hear any abuse for you, we'll just get you to do the Hindi show. That's it for yourself. You just comment on yourself over there. But yeah, if you look at that team, interesting because it is a World Cup year. So by that I mean there's one in 12 months. As we were talking, India plays about 20 or 21 T20s in the lead up to that, and it's the beginning of a new era, Zach, because Rohit Sharma has been announced the captain. Virat Kohli has stepped down. He stated that even before this World Cup began. Rahul Dravid takes over as coach. So Ravi Shastri's tenure has come to an end. So it's interesting because this is a good time for India to reinvigorate, reboot, re-strategize, regroup for the next World Cup, and because they'll be hurting from the fact that they didn't make it to the Final Four.
Absolutely, and that will be the talk around the whole series. There's no doubt about that. Rohit Sharma takes up captaincy, Rahul Dravid, the coach. So which direction the team is going to go in. There are a lot of new faces there, and what kind of combinations you'll get to see, what kind of strategies you'll see. So yeah, so in many ways, this is turning a new page right now in Indian cricket, and the series focus will be, and the chatter around it will be just these two gentlemen there, Rohit Sharma and Rahul Dravid. So even though there are a lot of these players that have rested from the series and a lot of the new faces are there, I think the main talking point around the series is going to be these two names and how they approach it and where Indian cricket is going in terms of strategies and tactics, or what new you will see from here to the next World Cup.
Yeah, obviously, if you see the squad, there's a lot of openers. A lot of openers. See, DK, that's the thing, man. You're gonna get back in. Don't focus on being the finisher. Become an opener again. To do that, that's it. Look at it. Who are your two openers in this in the 11 for you? It's going to be
I think
Rohit
it'll
and
be
Rahul,
definitely-
right?
Yeah. There's no doubt. I think Rohit and Rahul will open, and you'll probably find somebody like an Ishan Kishan and a Surya Kumar at 3 and 4. There's also Shreyas Iyer. So, I think I don't see Shreyas Iyer's name.
No,
there. I don't
Shreyas
know why.
Iyer is not. I think he's in the Test squad. He's not in the T20 squad.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
I
he's
have a
not in the
feeling he's
T20
there in
squad.
the team, but not in this team. Anyway, doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think he's in the. He's been picked for the Test squad. He's in the Test squad against New Zealand. He's not in the T20.
Okay.
That's
Anyway,
what it is.
I think openers are, obviously you can see Rituraj there, Venkatesh Iyer there, Ishan Kishan there. So there are about 5 openers that we can think of the back of our hand, and that's always the most preferred batting position for a lot of the players. But obviously, the one thing that Indian team will look to do is bolster the middle order as well. Figure out exactly who their 5, 6, 7, 8 are, because when you go to Australia, you need good players, especially of fast bowling when you get there. So that'll be a very interesting. Few T20s. I think there's about 20 to look at those things, and I'm sure Rahul Dravid and Rohit Sharma, double R's, will be putting their head around and figuring out what's the best way to take a team to Australia.
You are absolutely right, Dinesh Karthik. Shreyas Iyer is in the squad. He was missed out on this. Good catch. See, this is why we need you here. Because this lot, you go on the field, these guys are going to mess up again. So we're just going to be keeping you here for fact check, my brother. Even if you're playing, if you could just fact check our graphics, our squads, our teams, if we can just leave that in there, that would be really good. So is that an acceptable offer? Could you do that for us? Just a quick fact check before you go out to bat. Is that okay? Is that fine? He'll do it. DK is a good guy. He'll do it. Yes, so Shreyas Iyer is in that team. You fired. So yeah, but the point was that plenty of openers, of course, plenty of openers in this side. And India will be hurting. So you know that they'll be coming hard in this series. New Zealand, they'll be hurting as well. This is a good distraction for them. Best way to take it out, best way to take out the disappointment is on the field against opposition which has a home side advantage, which is India. So it's definitely going to be a real cracker series. May just be happening a few days after a World Cup, but hey, listen, you know what they say about hangovers, right? You both know what they say about hangovers, right? The best way to avoid a hangover is keep drinking. That's right. Best way to avoid a cricket hangover is keep watching some more cricket, baby. That's how it happens. So 3 T20s, that's what's coming up next. I think that's what we're done here now. We have to have that joy factor question because I'm super curious about this little couples therapy question that Joy asked today, as are Zach and DK. Let's have a look at the question. In case you guys missed it, here it is. Talking about absurd things. Well done, Professor Bhattacharya. Absurd max this question is today. In October 2014, which World Cup winning batter famously said before a test match in Dubai that he and his wife should have kept going? Yes, please show us the answer because we don't have the foggiest. Jeff Marsh. After Mitch Marsh made it to the Australian Test team, Sean Marsh was already playing international. I see. All right, that was Children's Day special. Pretty clever. That's pretty. So here's the thing. Joy always leaves some little cryptic clues on the day. So today wasn't a 14 November question. It was specifically a Children's Day question. Well, father-son duo. Father World Cup winner, son World Cup winner. Jeff Marsh, Mitch Marsh. Is that the only father-son duo? Is that the only father-son duo to have done it? I think so. I think they're the only ones. Think about it. Yeah. Can't think of any others.
Was Sean Marsh part of the squad? Which one, 2015?
No, Mitchell Marsh was part of the squad that won 2015. Mitch Marsh was. Yeah. And of course, the father, Jeff Marsh, was 1987. 1987 when they won the Reliance Cup in India. He was the opener with David Boone. David Boone was the man of the match that time. And today, I just also want to tell you, David Warner has been selected as the player of the series. So congratulations to him. But a bigger prize than that would obviously today be the person who's got the joy factor question correct, because this was tougher than any final that any of these 22 players played. So it is Satya Nagarjun. Congratulations, Satya Nagarjun. Look dum and naam mein, eh? Satya Nagarjun. Needed somebody with this heavy gravitas kind of name to get it correct today. So congratulations, Satya Nagarjun. You're the winner. All right, that's done, gentlemen. That's it. It's the end of play. It's the end of the World Cup. It's time to go. Okay. Well, it's been a fantastic season of cricket. It really has. The IPL followed by the World Cup. I don't know about you guys, but I think I need a break for sure for a few days. I think I'm going to enjoy the hangover. I don't want to drink anymore. I think I'm done. Big thank you to Zaheer Khan. Zach, thank you for joining us from the UK. Thank you so much. Hope this was fun for you. Cricbuzz Live.
As always. As always.
You're my
Move on to the
crusader.
next one. You are taking a break, but I'm going to continue. I don't
That's
like
big.
hangovers.
You are relentless, brother. You're relentless. Yes, you are. And of course, to my dear friend Dinesh Karthik, who has been doing double duty, got the twins, young twins to take care of, and then he's got us two brats to take care of here on Cricbuzz Live. Is it tougher? Are we tougher to manage than the twins?
No, y'all are an absolute pleasure. It's fun. Thank you so much.
All right. But in about a minute, I'll be crying as well. So I might need a change. All right. Just warning you right now. Okay. Ready? Okay. I'm going to cry. All right. So big thank you to our entire panel here on Cricbuzz Live. Everybody, all our analysts. It's all been fantastic having everybody over here. Big thank you to all of you for watching, for staying with us in English and in Hindi. You are the people who make Cricbuzz Live what it is. Thank you for all your messages of support from all around the world. Truly is a pleasure to do this show for all of you. And of course, our crew works relentlessly in the control room there. Some not having showered, not having their meals, not changing their socks. To all of you, go home, get some sleep, shower, hug your loved ones. All right. I'm Gaurav Kapur saying goodbye for the final time for this World Cup on Cricbuzz Live. Good night.